Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Dye with Dom. On today's episode, we're going to be doing a faux balayage, and this is just basically the easy way of getting a balayage type look on a wig. So first things first, we're going to start with our sectioning. So for this, sectioning is key. You want to make sure you section out your front sections right about where your client's ear would be. I like to follow the lace. I do use 5x5s or 6x6s, so I kind of just put it where the lace ends and then go straight down and part out that front piece, and do the same on both sides. If you have a smaller lace area, just go a little bit behind that and then part those out. Usually just picture, where their ear would be, and then you can part it there. Once you have both sides parted out, we'll deal with the back section. So the front, parting it out, usually I'm going to be doing a completely different pattern in the front. So I like to separate it early. For the back on this one, we're going to split it into two right down the middle because we're going to do kind of a waterfall effect with our parting. So once you have both sides split into two, you're going to pin all your stuff out of the way. Make sure before you begin this, you just have a lot of clips and pins because you're going to need them, okay? So instead of parting straight and going straight across right where the tracks are, we're actually going to be parting in a upward diagonal. So this is going to give you that waterfall effect. And also we're going to be applying the color in a way that also enhances that waterfall effect. So you'll really have a V going towards the back, similar to a lot of balayage styles. I swear it's gonna keep these feelings too. Once you have your first section parted out, you can make it this big or a little bit bigger. You're just going to want to twist it or braid it out of the way so that when it comes time to applying that color, you can just untwist it and then start applying the color. And we're going to do this all the way up the head. So you're going to keep going in a diagonal all the way up until you get to the top of each section. Myself, now you're the one I'm thinking of. My higher ground, my rocket love. For gravity, and this is basically what it's going to look like once you finish the back. So you can kind of already see how the diagonal is falling and how your color may live on the hair. And you can see that I'm making a little V shape. So you can see that the hair is going to be kind of falling in that direction. Now for the front, you're going to be doing something similar. However, for this unit, I am going to be adding like a little money piece or just more hair colored in the front and more structured color in the front. So we are going to be parting that out. For money pieces, I kind of always do the same thing. Depending on how big I want it, I just do a semicircle on the top of the hair or the front of the closure. The more you part out here, the more hair is going to be colored in the front. So you just want to make sure that you're parting out enough or less if you want, a more subtle look. And of course, like before, we're just going to braid it out of the way. Now for the sides, they're pretty similar to the back. We're just going to be doing diagonals, but you're going to be doing the diagonal up towards the front, as you can see here. So you want to make sure the diagonal is kind of going downwards away from the face, but up towards the front of the head, just like that. And you're going to do exactly the same thing on both sides. And once you finish, it's going to look something like this. A little bit crazy, but trust me, it definitely does help, especially if you are a beginner and you're not sure where to place color to make it look its best. This is definitely a great method for you to practice. And once you get the hang of it, you won't have to do this anymore. This is just for when you're first starting out and you want to make sure that you're placing the color in the right place on the head and you can actually see where it's going to end up. Now for the actual color, we're going to be using foils, and I'm going to be using Blonde Me Bleach from Schwarzkopf and their developer. I'm using the Igora one, but usually I do use the Blonde Me one, and I'm using 10 volume. This wig is from Vendor 2 on my list, so if you guys do have that, this is from them and it's top raw hair, so I do not need to use any higher of a developer. And like majority of my Dye with Doms, we are teasing the hair. So for these sections, I'm just taking a medium-sized section, not too big, but not too small. And then I'm teasing out a lot of that hair. So you see this section, I would say just go a little bit smaller than that if you are just starting out. But then you're going to be teasing and just putting the color on there. And now as you can see here, I'm doing a small diagonal with how I apply the color towards the top of the diagonal that I parted it out to. This is just going to help the hair fall in that nice V shape. And you can do this or not. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but the more drastic you do it, the more difference it's going to make. So if you really want that dimension, then make that staircase shape with your color. One thing I want to mention is to make sure that all of your colored hair is covered with the foil. If not, you run the risk of having darker roots. So make sure you do that. Once you get to the front, it's pretty much the same exact pattern. I do take smaller sections up here just because I want the color to be a bit brighter. And so taking smaller sections is going to allow it to process higher a little bit in the front. And I do also switch up my developer just a little bit higher. I think I went up to like a 15 here instead of a 10, just so the front can lift a little bit higher than the rest of the hair. Now for toner, pick whichever toner works best for the color that you want. I would suggest going lighter. I went a bit darker just because I wanted a brown, but it did turn out pretty dark, so I would suggest going a little bit lighter if you want to see the balayage more. But basically, you just apply the toner to the hair, let it process, and rinse it out. And this is the final result for me. If you do a lighter toner, of course, you're going to get a lighter result. But yeah, that is the process. If you guys are wanting to recreate this, definitely tag me. I would love to see it. And thanks for watching my video. Bye, guys.